Welcome to Frequency Matters, the RF and microwave update. I'm Pat Hindle, and I'm here with my co-host Gary Lerude. The last episode was shot live from the show floor at IMS in Phoenix, Arizona.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we're back in studio, ready to kick off the summer. Our June issue is headlined by Daniel Green from DARPA, and he describes a heterogeneous integration process that they're using. They're able to integrate multiple compound semiconductor technologies on CMOS to give unprecedented performance. So you're able to optimize the proper device design for the semiconductor technology that maximizes the performance for that.
It's a really interesting article.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if they can productionize this process. And they were the first ones to integrate indium phosphide HBTs, GaN, HEMTs, and CMOS onto a single chip. So what else do we have for technical features?
So we have three, and kind of along the semiconductor theme, we have an interesting article from Qorvo, where they're using gallium nitride for 3.5 gigahertz wireless. And this is the first I've seen people publish results in the 3.5 gigahertz band. So that's interesting. Then we have California Eastern Labs that has a paper on Class J amplifiers at 460 megahertz. And so they go through the theory, show the design, and then the measured results. And that's interesting. And then, not to stick too much with amplifiers, we have a tri-band filter with a substrate integrated waveguide approach at 6 gigahertz. And that's another interesting paper that covers the design, the predicted performance, and then the measured performance. So those, I think, will keep people interested in this month's issue. So how about products?
So our MVP for June is Peregrine's 40 gigahertz switch, which boasts better performance than any of the gallium arsenide solutions on the market. It's an SPDT, and it has 47 dB of isolation and 2.2 dB of insertion loss at 30 gigahertz. And then at 13.5 gigahertz, it has 50 dBm of input IP3. So
wow,
some big numbers there. And it also has very good power handling, very good ESD protection, and also has a fast switching speed of 225 nanoseconds. So it's quite the device.
So it'll give gallium arsenide a run for the money, so to speak.
Perigrin's doing that with their SOI processes. What do we have in the news?
Well, guess what I'm going to talk about?
Mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Four things since we met last time. First, Intel is acquiring Altera for $16.7 billion. Then the one that kind of surprised me, Avago, is going after Broadcom for $37 billion.
Yeah, we always thought that would be the other way around.
Exactly. Then, interesting, Cree is doing an IPO of their power and RF segment, and Cree will still have ownership of that business, and it will allow the Cree management to focus on LED and lighting, but allow the power and RF segment to have some focus as well and grow their business. And then the one that I think is most interesting, NXP has a buyer now for their high-performance RF business. It's a Chinese state-owned company called Jian Wang. They're paying $1.8 billion for the business, which is a pretty hefty multiple, I think. I've heard estimates of 450 to 500 million in annual revenue from that business. So they are going to take the entire business, including the assembly test facility that's located in the Philippines. They're going to basically create a separate company in the Netherlands. And interestingly enough, because they share a wafer fab for the LDMOS processing, they're actually going to take about 200 of the NXP employees that work in the wafer fab to do the LDMOS processing, and they'll have access to that fab for at least 5 years, they told me. So that's pretty interesting, and I think it'll be a pretty significant change. I think the high-performance RF group will be in good shape, but it'll be interesting to see what that does in terms of the landscape for the other competitors like Freescale.
Yeah, the whole semiconductor market is just in turmoil, all kinds of buyouts and mergers.
Yeah, you wrote a nice article on that gave a good perspective. So people, if you haven't seen it, you should check the website for that.
There was one other news item that I wanted to highlight. It happened a few weeks ago, but it's important to highlight that Mini Circuits and the National Radio Astronomy Observatory announced a licensing agreement whereby Mini Circuits will bring their absorptive cascadable filters to the market. And traditional filters usually reflect back the unwanted signals, which can cause problems with intermodulation and also gain ripple. But these are truly reflectionless filters, so it could be a very big step function up in filter technology for the future.
Sounds really interesting.
Yeah, we'll highlight that in our August issue.
So we're back from IMS. I think that was an interesting show for me. As you know, I hadn't been there in a couple years, and it's always a good place to see what's going on in terms of the R&D activities in the industry. And there were over 600 exhibitors exhibitors, so that was interesting. And it's always like a college reunion, you know.
Yes,
if you've been in
of
this
course.
industry for very long, you run into people you've known for years, so I enjoyed that.
How was it being on the other side of the conversation?
Well, yeah, normally I'm stuck in a booth for 3 days. It was a lot more fun, I think, roaming around and talking to people doing interviews.
Yeah, you get a perspective of the whole industry instead of your little area of ecosystem.
Exactly, exactly. So what else in the event side?
So on the event side, it's been about a month since Microwave Journal announced ED-ICON USA that will be taking place in September of 2016 in Boston. And I'm happy to report we already have close to 40 exhibitors.
Wow.
So if you want to get a good high pick on your exhibition booth, you need to get your application in soon.
That sounds great.
And then also ED-ICON China will take place next April in Beijing again, and we'll be issuing the call for papers very shortly. So think about what abstracts you would like to submit to the conference.
Well, we just finished that and we're starting again.
The cycle goes on.
So we have 2 webinars this week that people may be interested in, both of them focused on gallium nitride. The first one, as you know, is a panel discussion on Tuesday that includes Freescale, Qorvo, and MACOM with experts from each of those companies, and that will be moderated by Ray Pengelly, who's a longtime gallium nitride expert who recently retired from Cree. So that promises to be interesting. And then Qorvo has a separate gallium nitride webinar on Wednesday that's just focused on gallium nitride, co-sponsored by RFMW. And Jose Jimenez, who's a fellow at Qorvo and one of the gallium nitride experts in the industry, will be giving a presentation on that. So if you're interested in gallium nitride, 2 great webinars this week, and if you happen to miss them when they run real time, you can always watch the replay.
Yep, on the events section, they're all archived for about 6 months.
Right. Anything else this week?
No, I think that about wraps it up.
Well, we want to thank you for watching Frequency Matters, and especially thank our sponsor, Mini Circuits, for making this possible. You can find all kinds of information on Mini Circuits products at their website, minicircuits.com. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.